Welcome to PENSDOWN, the program solely dedicated to understanding what journalists go through. None of those things get reported along the news they put out, but they go through a lot, they grapple with a lot. This is where we tell it all. I have been joined today by a senior colleague. He is a sports journalist with a graphic communications group with over 26 years' experience in the field. He is a product of the Ghana Institute of Journalism, a father of three, a husband, and a clergyman. He is the founder and senior pastor of Destiny Altar Ministries, DAM, in Accra. And he is a mentor to me. I have the honor today of the company of Reverend Samuel Kwaitoo. I'm honored, sir.
Thank you, Stephen.
Right. You are a reverend minister. You are also a journalist. An interesting mix. How are you combining the two things? Because each looks like a full-time role.
Exactly. This question has been posed to me many times without number, and I'm not surprised that it's coming up again in this interview.
Yeah.
One answer I always give is that much as we all appreciate the fact that it's not an easy combination, the grace of God keeps us going. So the grace of God is sufficient, as the Bible says. That is the only secret I can give in answer to this question.
Why journalism? You could have been anything. Maybe some accountant or some businessman or banker or some teacher or anything. Why journalism?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for that question again, because it will give me a little back. It will give me the opportunity to give myself a little background to my viewers, to our viewers. One day, based on the inspiration I drew from my senior brother, my elder brother, Charles.
Yeah.
One day, I was going to, I think, Accra. So from Osu, I don't know whether I was at Accra or I was going to classes. Our classes were in the evening. The math classes at Workers College were in the evenings. So I think I picked an Osu car, and the car somehow passed in front of the Ghana Institute of Journalism. I said, this is the name I've been hearing, and I'm gradually falling in love with. So, and lest I forget, when I was in secondary school, my passion for sports was also without question. And those who know me and found me in the sports journalism later on and were not surprised, because back in secondary school, I just loved. I played football to the second division, now second division. Those days, third division. So my love for football and sports in general was without question. So I developed that, and I remember that because of that, I was following and reading all the sports. Those days there were a lot of sports papers.
Yes.
Soccer Scene, Soccer Wonders, Sports World, and Graphic Sports was the leading newspaper then. So Mondays and Tuesdays, I will go to the newsstands and get all of them, and I'll make sure that I read all of them, local and foreign content, everything. That was the kind of passion I have for sports. So when I read them or I follow sports events on the local scene, and sometimes I decide to write letters to the editor. I will write to the graphic sports editor, express my views about
mm,
issues, trending issues, and all that. So that was how the love for writing was
mm,
developed. So that is
mm.
how the journalism instinct, yes, it started from. But
Okay.
whilst I passed through the car that day that the car passed in front of the journalism school, Ghana Institute of Journalism, I said, "Oh, okay, this is the school I've been hearing about. That is where my brother attended. Those days
Mm,
he was still attending the institute." So okay, then there and then something
mm,
occurred to me that when I finished my sixth form,
mm,
I prayed to God that He will give me the grades that will qualify me into this institution. That was the
mm,
decision, an instant decision that I
mm,
took in that moment. And lo and behold, as the years went by,
mm,
I saw myself, one thing led to the other, and God just made a way, and the door opened for me to
oh,
somebody introduced me. Yes, I went for the entrance exams. I passed. I went for the interview, and I was successful, and I started. So that
now
was how I entered
you
journalism.
have done 26 years. Is there
Yes.
any exit plan in sight, or how many more years do you want to top up with before you completely drop your pen?
I think about Stephen, you know me.
Mm,
My life is in the hands of the Almighty God.
yeah.
Okay. By the grace of God, I've crossed the half century.
Mm,
I'll be 53. I'll be
mm,
53 next month by the grace
okay.
of God. So
Mm,
it means I have 7 years to go on retirement.
yeah.
Okay. But
Yeah.
because of the first question you asked
Mm,
about ministry, combining
mm,
ministry with journalism,
yeah.
which is not an easy task at all.
Mm,
When people ask me when people ask me this question, so some people even think that when I started ministry, I've stopped doing journalism, practicing journalism, and I keep telling them that no, I'm combining the two. Because when it comes to ministry, full-time ministry, you have to be led by God to do it. So
mm,
to answer that question, my life is in the hands of God. If God says today, stop journalism and go full time for me, I won't hesitate at all. If he says tomorrow or next year or by the end of this year, I want you to quit, my life is in a sense. I always tell my church members, I am sold out to Jesus. So my steps are ordered by the Lord. Whatever he tells me, that is what I do because I am
mm,
a follower of Jesus. Just as he told his disciples, stop whatever you are doing and follow me one after the other. And they left their flourishing businesses and decided to follow
mm,
Jesus. The same with me. Yes, anytime the call comes through, I'll respond to the call. That is,
mm,
I mean, full time ministry. I'll respond to the call. Otherwise, if in the will of God, He also says that stay on. I know how to handle things. Stay on. I am okay with what you are doing until your retirement age. That one too, I'm for it. So may the will of God be done.
right. I am interested in the issue of integrity in the line of duty as a journalist. How many
Yeah.
times have you been offered anything, monetary or material, and then they will tell you, okay, so this is for you. This thing you are pursuing, drop it or compromise the details or the facts, and then take this home.
An interesting. That is an interesting question. Uh, uh, as journalists, especially
Mm,
if you are a journalist on a cutting edge,
mm,
you face this temptation time and again.
mm,
People will fight you time and again.
mm,
Okay. But as you said, integrity is key. That is what
yeah.
is missing in our profession
Mm,
today. But Stephen, let me say this here. I'm always thankful to God for this other thing that I knew Jesus Christ before I entered this profession. And because of that, that has helped me in this journey to avoid landmines and pitfalls. Because of that the word of God and the fear of God being my guide, it will be difficult for the people who knew me, knew what I stood for.
Yeah.
So I believe it was even difficult, even until now, for people to approach me to you dare not. Because I remember I you might know because we have worked together in the same
Yes,
office
that's right.
before for a long time. Yeah.
Mm.
I apart from news reporting, uh, I started by the inspiration of the Holy Spirit. I started writing a column, my opinion column. I started in 2002 during the tenure of Ben Kofi, and I stopped. I stopped after some 10 years or some 12 years. Then I came back briefly. Then I stopped again, all because of due to certain reasons. Now it's on hold. At the right time, if God permits, it might come back.
Okay.
But I took on that column took on the. Didn't care who anybody was in the sports field, minister, GFA president, GFA members, coach, whoever. I took them on, and I don't remember that any time that anybody approached me to say I maybe because of my posture. I don't remember because it will never happen. And I also don't remember where I took anybody's money and did a story against anybody or to destroy somebody. No, I've never also concocted or fabricated a story just to impress or to destroy anybody. No, because of my Christian faith, it has helped me a lot. But that is not to say that it has been all rosy. Yeah, I've had clashes with sports officials from the top to the bottom, all kinds of them, because
Has your life come under
some of
threat? Has your life come under
yes,
threat because of the blazing
that
manner in which you open fire on everybody?
that I exactly. Thank you for reminding me. That one, I've my life coming under threat plenty times, many times. There used to be a photojournalist. I don't want to mention his name. He's gone on retirement. A graphic photo editor, and he was a staunch Accra House of Folk fan. So growing up in the job, anytime I report on Hearts matches, and I give a vivid account of whatever transpired during the game. If Hearts did not play well, if the players misbehaved, coach misbehaved, fans misbehaved, or whatever, I write it as it was. And anytime the man will come, because he was a dyed in the wool Phobian fan, he was a fanatic. Anytime he comes to the office, he comes to tell me, you in Gao. Then I didn't understand. So I'll ask people, what did the man say? That House of Folks, because of what I wrote, House of Folks supporters are looking for me to beat me up, to assault me. I never minded him. And that did not stop me, deter me from going ahead with my work. Nothing has ever threatened me. During the time of Herbert Mensah, I remember there was this story about Coach Ian Potterfield from Scotland. I remember very, very, very well. You know the kind of people who trained us.
Exactly.
The veteran Joe Agri. These are the hands who worked on us, who trained us. Joe Agri, he employed me. He employed me in the year 2000. But before then, he saw the need to accommodate me all the way from my final year in GIJ.
Okay.
You know, those days we used to do internship. I don't know
That's
whether
right.
they still do it. Yes, and I can proudly say that I'm the only person who did 4 months internship continuous, 4 months continuous. We used to do 6 months internship. Each month you rotate, you go to different media houses just
Yeah.
to have the experience. But because I knew right from the beginning what I was looking for, I was for sports journalism. So I knew, and graphic sports, I knew the content, what it stood for, the standard, and the kind of people who worked on that paper. So I wanted to be part of that. I wanted to be part of the best, to belong to the best team. So those days, Joe Agre, Felix Abayate, Sami Okaite, the late Sami Okaite,
Yeah.
great
And
writers.
Aka Anthony.
Then later, Mr. Aka Anthony joined later
Yeah.
on. Then Kisiedu, Samuel Kisiedu was there.
Yeah.
Then the youngest person I met then was Rosie Namo.
Okay.
But this way, I'm talking about the veterans I met then.
That's right.
So the standards were so high. So if you were somebody who wanted to learn, then you were in a good family, and they took me as their own. They are small boy, they are young son or younger brother, and taught me everything. They gave me every opportunity. So as I was saying, I did 4 months continuous attachment or internship in graphic sports. After doing the first 2 months in Spectator, and there was an FM in Swedro. I used it also to try my hands on the sports presentation on radio.
Okay.
To get that feel as well. So after that, the remaining 4 months, I decided to come and learn because I knew where I was going. So I was with them, and they gave me every opportunity and every support and assistance, to the extent that every weekend was a busy weekend for me, apart from the weekday assignment. Every weekend, the gala, those days, gala, football matches, Saturday. Sometimes you go back to back, you cover Saturday matches, Premier League matches, I mean, you cover Sunday matches. You see, so they gave me the confidence, they taught me how to, and the kind of courage, the boldness, and the audacity with which they went about their work. Even if you are the one who is an afraid man, you learn to be bold. You knew Mr. Joe Agri, uncompromising.
Yeah, that's right.
Felix Abayate, tough, resolute. Samuel Kaite.
No
Samuel was
nonsense.
like the news that no nonsense. He will say it as it is. If you go off, he will tell you in the face. Oh God! And so these are the people who raised us up, who trained us. So we caught that spirit. That actually, if these people are fearless, then we can also be told the same line. So that was how we did it. So that we imbibed that kind of spirit and character. So nobody dared. I'm not saying that I am a saint and I'm perfect, but that was the mindset with which I entered the profession. And these names that I've
Indeed,
mentioned,
one colleague told me here on PENSDOWN that when it comes to bribery in journalism, those seeking to bribe journalists know which journalists to bribe. It is not everybody.
Exactly my point. So they dared not. Right from Ben Kofi's time, I came to meet Jaula. That was their latter days of exiting from office. He and Adekoka, his vice. Then who came? Ben Kofi came in. After Ben Kofi, Nyahota Mako. I had a very good relationship with all of them. But I didn't shy away from taking them on when I thought they went off, all of them. And because of that, interestingly, and that is what I always tell the young ones, interestingly, none of them hated me. If they hated me without my knowledge, and I don't know. But they maintained a very good relationship with me until they left office. Until now, one of the people I took on every now and then was Dr. Nyahom Tamako. But up to today, I have a mutual respect for each other. That, I will never forget that man. You see how forthright he is.
Oh, yes.
He is able to take punches. I'm telling you. When he was in the hot seat of the GFA presidency, he was then the chairman. I was then still writing my column, and I was taking it on inside out, week in, week out. That he was never bothered. Anytime he had an exclusive, he would still see the need to call me to his. He had a clinic at Zongo Junction, yes,
okay,
around the Kaneshi or Latebiakoshi area. Zongo Junction. He once invited me there, and he gave me a story, an exclusive. If somebody would have seen you to be because you are a critic, brand you as an enemy. But this man so matured until today. The way he speaks his mind, the same way he also is able to take punches. So maybe, as you rightly said, because of my posture, I had taken a stand. I had taken a stand because Stephen, my reputation, my dignity, my image, I cherish it so much. So, and I know football people inside out. Those young journalists who are listening to me, be very, very, very careful about football people, football administrators, I mean, especially. Be very, 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 very careful about them. They can be so dangerous. I've worked with them again and again and again and again. Some of them, if not all, are so hypocritical. They will come and destroy one person to you. And if you dare comment on it or fall into that trap, they will carry what you also said and go and tell the same person that they destroy to you. That's football people for you. That is why the Ghana football is so bedeviled with a lot of issues. And I don't see it leaving the game today or tomorrow. You see, every season, every season is characterized with controversy. It will not
drama.
Stop because football people and drama. Yes, football people are not truthful. That is their problem. And that is why they will find it difficult for any serious corporate institution to come and sponsor their competitions.
Something is happening in journalism. If you have observed, a good number of professionals, very solid, trained, qualified professionals, are leaving. Some of them are going into public relations. For others, they are going into entirely different. What is accounting for this?
I agree with you. I agree with you, Stephen. It's because of some of these things. Standards have fallen. Now look at what is happening in the Ghana Journalism Association. We can't even define who a journalist is. There's so much crisis in this profession. And it is time. I pray that they will use this election on Friday, this coming election, to get things right once and for all. Because we are in crisis. We are at the crossroads. Because I always say that the framers of the 1992 Constitution, in their wisdom, saw the need to describe the media as the fourth estate of the realm. Not any other profession, but the media. That should tell you the relevance, the importance, the significance of the role of the media, I mean journalists in this country, in the building of this country. But unfortunately, I, I will say it without any fear of favor, without any fear of contradiction, that journalists are part of the problems of this country. Because if journalists have integrity, they will abide by the ethics of the profession, maintain a high moral standard. It will be very difficult for any politician to dare to even dare bribe them. If, as I was saying, the question you just asked, I don't remember because nobody tried to do it. Because maybe they knew or they thought that actually this guy, if they try it, it will bounce. You get it? Because I'm not the type that will go begging. Please, I need this. Can you help me with this? I need money to pay my school fees. I need money to pay my rent. I need money to pay my children's school fees. When you do that, you have sold your birthright. You don't have any moral right to take on anybody. Okay?
Yeah.
You can be friends with people, and if they decide out of their way to help you, even that, be very careful. Because when you do that, you one professor who came to do a seminar for us, a Nigerian professor, Professor Ndayo, he said something. He said people in public offices will always try to influence journalists in one way or the other.
Yeah.
With office. So when anytime they do that, and you think that you can't refuse it, you think it's a gift or something, you cannot refuse. Find a way of reciprocating it to balance the score. Otherwise, they will think that you owe them a duty to also return that favor in one way or the other. And that is what they have been using to compromise journalists. On all fronts. On all fronts. So that for me, I think accounts for the exodus of journalists from the profession. And it's not funny. It's worrying. This is a noble profession. This is a noble profession. This is a noble profession. And I just gave you one main reason why it should be regarded as such. And politicians know everybody who occupies a high office in this country, sensitive position in this country, they know public officers, private office, they know the power of the media, how the might of the pen. So that is why they will do everything to compromise you, because when they succeed in compromising you, they have clipped your wings and you cannot fly anymore.
Let me take you back a bit. If we are to go back into time, 30 years, are you still going to choose journalism?
I love it, Stephen. That is the profession I love. You know, for the past, no, I won't. I maybe unless God decides to recreate me and put another passion in me. But as far as we are still in this life, that is what God gave me. That is where my interest lies. I love to write, Stephen. I love to write more than any other profession, apart from ministry. Ministry for me now is number one, and it was before I joined journalism. So nothing can take that thing from the ministry from its position. Ministry is number one. But after ministry is journalism. That is why I still do what I do, and I will always go do journalism, practice journalism, go back to journalism. And I'm still encouraging and training others to take after me. I love to do it, and to get I'm teaching them what the Joagres and the Felix Abates and the Antonis and the Samuel Kisiedus and the Samuel Kaites inculcated in us. We are also transferring it to the younger generation, because but for them, there are so many things we would not have known. And
Mm.
I will mention all these people also boosted our confidence. As I was
Yeah.
saying, they gave us assignments that we thought were more than we could handle. But at the end of the day, they entrusted us with them, and we delivered. And because of that, they kept doing it again and again. Apart from writing, another thing I love doing so much, and which has occupied me, engaged me in the past few years, is editing. I love
Mm.
to edit. It's a strenuous work, but I love to do very, very strenuous because of the standards that have fallen. It makes it
Yeah.
even more difficult. Do
Mm.
editing stories of late. That is why you don't
Now,
see me
is
writing.
it now editing or it is rewriting with the falling standards?
Both. I think it has to do more with rewriting than editing. Yes, that is a good one. That is a good
Uh,
one. When you were there, I
mm,
love to I love to read your scripts.
mm,
You brought up this interesting angle to our conversation.
mm.
US, I love to read and edit Steven's stories because his English, his language was flawless.
Thank you.
Okay, that reminds me of what Samuel Kaite used to say about me. At a very young, in my early days in the profession, he
Mm,
used to tell others, the designers behind me, he used to
mm.
tell them about my work because as I told you, he was like the news editor in
Yeah.
the sports department. So he
Mm,
was working, he was giving us assignments and he was editing our work. And he and every editor will commend such people.
mm.
People that when you take their scripts, you 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 you,
You don't
you
suffer.
want to read their script. How you don't suffer? You don't suffer. You want to read their script again and again. You wish that they were always right because it's easy to and they are coherent and there is a flow right
Mm,
from the intro through the neck to the body and to the conclusion. You see that everything is in order. But today, that is the right word you use. You have to rewrite, virtually rewrite
mm,
most of the script. But in spite of all that, Stephen, I can assure you, I will want to do journalism again and again and again because it is, as I said a while ago, it's a very, very, very noble professional and a
mm,
very, very powerful institution, very, very influential. That if journalists are going to take our position in society, Abba, people in authority will be alert. And
mm.
it is journalists who can shape this economy, the economy of Ghana, who can bring the transformation we need in this country. It's journalists. But because we have lost it, see, everything is, so many journalists have been compromised.
Journalism as a profession, for the 26 years you've been here, what are some of the
Yeah.
incidents that represent golden memories for you in the line of duty?
Golden memories. A lot, a lot, a lot. Let me see if I can recall a few. A lot, a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. You know, for every young journalist,
Mm,
one thing you always love to see is your story being published or to
yeah.
see your byline.
Mm,
Yes, in publications.
mm,
So that was always something we cherish. Every
mm,
young journalist treasured. Now we are now like old men. So those things they don't thrill us any longer.
mm,
As I told you, yes, now I'm doing more editing. We have given it to the young ones. We are also grooming them also to take over from us. But
mm,
that is one thing. Um, 2010,
mm.
I have this principle. I have this principle.
Yeah.
I have this principle. Maybe that is the reason why I've never won any GGA award.
Mm,
My principle is this. that if the association is serious and if the awards are they want to reward excellence, really reward excellence, then there should be a body in place to monitor the works of their members over the period under consideration, then reward accordingly. But for me to take my work and say, because come to think of it, Steven, somebody can be an environmental reporter or economic reporter. Let's use these two scenarios. An environmental reporter, because because they will be rewarded with cash and a laptop. Somebody who does not report on the environment, but reports on economy or politics.
Yeah.
When it comes to the award, he can just do one piece, good piece, and submit it, and wins that award. What are we telling ourselves?
That means
And what
years
are
of
we telling?
sweat of the specialist reporters in the area have gone unrecognized.
It goes to waste. Yes, that is what is going on. That is what is going on, and that for me was the reason why I decided never to be part of it. Okay, so 2010, there was this awards organized by, I've forgotten the group who were their modus operandi was in line with what my belief, that just monitor the works of the people in the profession and reward them accordingly.
Yeah.
So 2010, I was honored with the national, there was a National Journalist Awards. I was honored with the best columnist.
Okay.
Apart from that, Premier League Board used to be Professional League Board, later Premier League. Also, yes, recognized me on 2 occasions as in the awards. On 2 occasions, 2 different occasions, 2 different years. The last one was in 2011 also for my contribution, yes, in the coverage of the Premier League as the best reporter print. It happened twice. But the highest, I've covered a few continental competitions, senior AFCONs with the Blasters. The first one was in 2006. That was an experience, and that was my second time in Egypt. My first time in Egypt was during a friendly match between Ghana and Egypt. You know, Ghana and Egypt have this relationship, yes, bilateral relations.
Yeah.
So from time to time, they used to organize friendlies, yes, like Morocco is doing now with Ghana, yes, especially in the female football. So they invited us during the time of Giuseppe Dosena. I was employed in 2000, May 2000. I think June or July.
Okay.
I was asked to join. That was my first foreign trip, to accompany the Blasters for that friendly match. They beat us 2-0. But for me, that was an eye-opener, and that was a good experience for me, because it opened me up and gave me the necessary exposure. The following year, March 2001, I covered the African 20, then it was called African Youth Championship, where Ghana placed second. Coach Afrani, Ike Afrani was like a father to me. The man just liked me. You see. So same as James Atukwefio and Samade, late, and Osam Dodu. They were all like father figures to me because of how they saw me and how we worked together.
Yeah.
You get it? And Ben Kofi and all. And so I covered that tournament. Unfortunately, Ghana won silver. We were second, but we qualified Angola beat the Black Satellites 2-0 in the final. But fortunately, we qualified to the World Championship, World Youth Championship in Argentina the same year. And there too, I didn't cover that tournament, but there was nobody from Graphic. But the Black Satellites also finished second and they won silver.
Okay.
That was the squad that graduated to qualify for the first World Cup in 2016,
Okay.
Germany 2016.
Germany
Yes,
206.
crop of players like 206, but the
Yes.
African Youth Championship was in 2001. Both
Okay.
African Championship and the World Championship was in 2001. Later in that year,
Yeah.
they were beaten 3-0 or 3-0 by Argentina in the final. But the same crop of players were kept because then Ben Kofi had taken over. So he introduced the 5-year plan and they kept progressing. They kept progressing. They went to Mali 202 AFCON. They reached the quarterfinals. But still, the team was kept. That's how come they qualified in 2005 for the World Cup in 2005. And they went ahead to perform. They reached the second round in Germany 2006. So these are some of the things. And the highest for me, and I will recommend this to every sports journalist, or by extension, every journalist who wants to reach the top. You should aspire to be at the biggest events. And for sports or for football, the biggest events. Let me say for sports. For sports, the biggest event is either the Olympics or the World Cup. But the World Cup, for me, is bigger than the Olympics because of, in terms of attraction, in terms of the hype, in terms of everything. The World Cup is a festival, and I had the opportunity of covering my first World Cup in 2014 in Brazil, and that for me is a memorable experience. It was a difficult tournament because of the way the cities were wide apart. Because they didn't have enough hotels in their cities, so they decided to spread the tournament across cities. And so we had to be in one place, and the team was in another city, and we were in Natal. The city was in Marseille, and anytime they came to play one game in Natal, they went to play the second game against Portugal, against Germany in Fortaleza, and the third one in another place. So it was, but we were flying in between. So that was for me. Was my highest point, and it's my highest point so far because I'm still in the profession. I'm not done yet. So the World Cup is the best. Is the best.
You have been here,
as I said, I covered my.
Yeah, you have been here for almost 30 years. You've seen journalism go through technological revolution and evolution. You know, I'm sure at the time you started, maybe even laptops and computers were not so much they were not so very common around. Now all those things have come. You can even do stories on your smartphones today on the go. There is internet. Now there is social media. How has social media redefined the frontiers of journalism?
It's something, as we call it, the new media. It's something when you started your question, something came to mind. When I covered my first AFCON, the 2001 under-20 championship, then there was nothing like computer in those days. We were writing stories for other people even to type for us, not even type. in our stories. And when we went by that, we started typing our own stories using the computer and all that. And I remember that when I covered the 206 AFCON, in which the Black Stars exited in the first round,
Yes.
the, in Egypt. Yes.
Yes.
That was the first time I created an email account. I traveled. So interesting. That's the first time because those days were now coming, were now coming in. But when I arrived, I saw the need, and it was through this guy. There used to be a Sierra Leonean reporter. He was attached to us because of the war in those days, early 2000. Yeah, Durosimi Thomas. He was
became the
reporting
BBC
for BBC.
correspondent. Yes. Yes.
That's right. That's right. Very good writer. Good guy. Good, great guy. So he introduced us, myself and the late Tony Owusu Amofa, who were the only 3 journalists from Ghana who covered that tournament. Those days there was no radio, no nothing. So I had to, in order to keep up with the pace, I had to. So he told me that I have to create an email account. So he assisted me to create it. And he introduced us to the ECA, that masterpiece of architecture in the heart of Ethiopia. Now they have, I think they have built a new one. That was where they were having those conferences, AU conferences and all those. That is what we call a conference center. So there were a lot of computers for journalists to use to cover those international conferences. So he just introduced us there because he knew, or maybe BBC informed him that there was such a facility there that we journalists could use for free, could access for free. We only had to just go in there and register. So we did that. They gave us ID cards. So every time we could just walk in there to just use the computers to file our stories and blah, blah, blah. That was what helped us. So we were not resorting to faxes and those days it was fax. So we were just doing blah, 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 blah. And that reminds me of an interesting experience I had. It was a nightmare. Saving. There was one match that was, the pressure on journalists to file their stories immediately, as early as possible after matches. There was one of the Ghana matches. Accra was waiting. They did not know what had happened to me or what I was going through. They kept waiting. They kept waiting. They kept waiting. You know what happened to me? I did my story as early as possible after the game because the ECA was not too far from the stadium. It was just a walking distance. So you just walk after the game. You just come and file your story. Then, because of inexperience, I should have done the story in Word document, and later transfer it to email. Then I send it. Compose it in email. Then I send it. Inexperience, due to inexperience. I was doing the story directly in the mail, and something happened, and the machine went off. I lost everything. I was almost ended with the story. Accra was waiting on me. Pressure was on me. So I had to virtually do the do the story all over again. And there's something about writing. Okay, this is the little experience I have. When you are working under pressure, the kind of result you produce is not the same as when you have a
more
sound
relaxed
mind and you are doing it. More relaxed. Thank you. So I thought that the first story I did, because I was fresh from the stadium. Everything was in my memory, fresh. Though there was a little pressure from the office, I still could manage it. So I put in all the necessary ingredients. So I thought I had a good story. But when that thing happened, I had to quickly do something. And when it happens like that, you have a timeline to beat quickly
Yeah.
because of the time lost. You have to do everything to regain it. And I believe that because of that, I might not have done a good job on that story like I would have wished. Because when it happens like that, you have to abridge everything and push it
That's
fast in order to beat the timeline. That was one. That is one experience I would want to forget in a hurry. You remember that things like that happen in the office from time to time.
yeah.
When you are using the IQ or you are using the
That's
machine
right.
and you don't save your story.
That's right.
When there was a power outage or something happened, when you are using a laptop or the desktop, something happens, you
Sure,
lose
sure,
everything.
sure, 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 sure,
And when
sure.
you think you have done a very good story and you lose it and you come in to start over again, every journalist will tell you that that is not a nice experience at all. That's my advice to
Reverend Samuel Kwaitoo. He's my mentor. In journalism, I learned invaluable lessons. I am not talking about word of mouth. I saw demonstrable traits that I learned from. Some of them he doesn't even remember when I narrated to him some time
yeah,
ago. But such is
yeah,
the man I have had today on PENSDOWN, and we have talked his journalism journey. Don't worry, he's preaching alongside telling us his journalism journey. He is. You can't have him and tell him not to preach. He will rather not talk at all because he is the preacher in him is more pronounced than the journalist in him. He
yeah,
believes
yeah,
he is
yeah,
more of a voice of God than a pen to the
yeah,
nations, which for me,
yeah.
I think is the right thing to do. Integrity is one thing he stands for. I can personally vouch for that. This has been PENSDOWN. We talk journalism journeys here. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. Truly grateful and honored.
You are welcome, Stephen.
Right. We'll
Welcome.
be back next time with another edition. We'll have another colleague here talking to us and telling us about his or her journalism journey. Thanks for being with us. Goodbye.